Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another Bitcoin update. After some time away from the office, I finally returned. I'm back on my PC. I'm back looking at charts, not just on my phone, but actually on the computer today. And so we've got a few things to look at. First and foremost, I want to look at the uptrending support line that's been going on for Bitcoin for about 4 or 5 years, since 2017 or 2018, depending on how you draw it. Now, this is a support line that not many people are looking at. It's on the logarithmic chart. Again, 4 or 5 years of support from this line, so it's very, very important. I'm also going to be looking at 24.5k like usual, and finally we'll be looking at the weekly close and the monthly close and the importance of both, because they are very important in terms of regaining ground for Bitcoin, right? We lost a lot of ground last week. We went downwards massively last week. Not only did we drop downwards in price, we dropped downwards, we lost indicators, we lost market patterns. We need to get some of it back. If we don't get it back soon, we could be in a very dangerous spot for Bitcoin. So again, uptrending support line, weekly close, monthly close, 24.5k, brief look into short term, everything you need. Let's get into it, guys. Okay guys, the charts we will be looking at today are the Bitcoin daily chart, specifically looking into the breakdown from all the structures we've had, also looking into the actual new compression that we're having, right? The new compression between these dashed yellow lines and this green box here, that will be coming to an apex sometime in around November 2023. Therefore, we'll be seeing a move before November 2023. We'll look into that. We also need to look into the weekly chart on Bitcoin. We had logarithmic lines on the weekly. You might remember an uptrending logarithmic line on the weekly and a downtrending logarithmic line on the weekly were predicting a move in August. We saw that move. It was a downside move. We now have a new line that we need to be looking at, seeing as that yellow line is broken down, and we're looking at the RSI on the weekly chart as well for an uptrending support line. We're going to be looking at 4-hourly chart briefly, not really too much to say about it. We're going to be looking at weekly chart from a different perspective, looking at Gaussian channel and bull market support band, and we're going to be looking at the ranges on Bitcoin. Okay, that's first up because it's very important for context. And then we're looking at the BLX, the monthly chart, so the monthly candle close. Extremely important monthly candle close for Bitcoin. We need to be seeing a green monthly candle close, or at least a neutral one, because we're dropping below a major range here at 29.2k, so it's very important. And then finally, we'll look at the monthly chart from a different perspective. All right, with the RSI, we'll be showing and depicting quite precisely how a bearish monthly candle close would be bad for Bitcoin. And finally, Bitcoin dominance will be the last topic of this video. So without further ado, sign up to the Bitget Exchange for 5 times lower fees than Binance. Very, very low trading fees. Best trading fees in the market. If you're using my referral link for a bonus 15% trading fee discount. They are going KYC in around a month from now. And so you will not be able to sign up from the United States, Canada, or from Singapore. But I do have another exchange partnership coming to cover those countries. And so you will have to keep an eye out for that. That's coming in the next few days. For now, Bitget is great, and for everyone else, Bitget is excellent. So go ahead and do that. Without further ado, guys, let's get into the content. So seeing as I've been away from a desk, away from the office for the past 3 or 4 days, I will be doing a brief video giving you everything you really need to know crucially about Bitcoin specifically. As for traditional markets and charts like that, I will be discussing that in tomorrow's video. I want to keep this video Bitcoin exclusive because there are a few things Bitcoin needs to do in order to regain some of the territory that it's lost over the last couple of weeks, over the last week, I should say. So it's a Bitcoin related video today. We're not looking at traditional markets. We'll be looking at that tomorrow, so keep an eye out for that. All right. So seeing as it's a Bitcoin related video, we need to start by looking at where Bitcoin actually is. We have 3 definitive ranges on Bitcoin. As you can see, we have the dark red range down here, the super bearish range, which is the bottom range. We then have the kind of bear market range. We spent the majority of the bear market in that zone between around 18k and around 24.5k. And then finally, we have the range we're in now, which is kind of the middle ground. I've called it kind of no man's land for a long period of time, and I do think that still stands to reason. Because if you're actually looking at where Bitcoin is right now, we have the bull market territory up here. We have the bear market territory down here. Right now, we're kind of in the middle. We never really spent much time in this region, except for to grab liquidity during the bull market. So right now, we're in the zone in which we grab liquidity during the bull market. We're in the bounce zone of the bull market, basically. We're not quite in the bull market territory. We're not quite in the bear market territory. We're sitting in the middle. And so it's very, very, very important in terms of bullish structure that Bitcoin manages to break up above 32k before it breaks down 24.5k, because if we do see a breakdown below 24.5k, we're dropping back into the bear market range. That is not what we want to see on Bitcoin, and so 24.5k hence is the major support zone for Bitcoin. That's what we need to be holding. Now, as you can see, I've drawn a red line at 24.5k, which is the line we need to be holding based on weekly candle close. And, unfortunately, it's not looking particularly reassuring for Bitcoin, because what we've done actually, and what we had, let's delete everything so we can just get a clear look at it. What we had is an uptrending support line on the kind of macro logarithmic chart, okay? We had an uptrending support line in solid yellow. We said that this downtrending support line, resistance line, sorry, compresses against this uptrending support line will lead to a move either up or down within August. We saw that move. Unfortunately, it was a downside move. And now we're in a region in which we're getting ready to potentially retest 24.5k. We've already retested the vague region, right? We've retested up here at 25.3. So we're technically already retested because that's where we wicked up to on the... Okay, let me explain this quickly because you might not understand what I'm saying here. When we retested 24.5k on the weekly candle closes, that was here and here, okay? We also retested 25.2k on the wicks. So technically, we've already actually retested that region on Bitcoin because we've retested 25.2k, which is where we went to on the wicks of the important level of 24.5k, if you understand what I mean. So we've already actually retested it, but it just doesn't show through on the weekly chart quite well because we haven't, actually gone down there fully on a weekly candle close. We haven't gone down to 24.5k. We've only got to 25.2. But we've technically retested already. The point I'm trying to make is this. Bitcoin broke down, okay? And this macro uptrending logarithmic line that we thought was going to be very, very important, it was lost. And we do also, it is worth noting that Bitcoin does form these long-term macro uptrending logarithmic lines. They do last for a very long period of time. So, for example, we formed one in 2011. It lasted all the way through to 2015, So it is a little bit awkward. It is a little bit weird for Bitcoin to break down from one so easily. We had another one over here forming back, all the way down here in 2015. And it lasted for a very long period of time, only breaking in 2018. Again, so it is a little bit unusual for a macro uptrending logarithmic line like this to break so easily and so quickly. It only lasted, 6-7 months, and that's unexpected. But it was angling quite, ridiculously, high in trajectory in comparison to what the volatility is in this market cycle and what the, returns are on Bitcoin of this market cycle, diminishing returns, etc. So it wasn't really as sustainable as the last couple of ones. But right now we need to look for new support, right? So we can delete this line because it's not there anymore. It's broken. And we can immediately go ahead and say, okay, well, look at this one from 2018. Okay, we had a support line forming in 2018. We'll make it yellow for the sake of argument here, for the sake of clarity, I should say. We'll make it yellow. We had a support line forming in 2018. It went through to the COVID wicks, okay, the COVID closes, I should say. It also went through perfectly and touched our bottom here in November. It marked the bottom in this cycle. So this is a line that's been retested on 4 occasions. It marked the 2018 bottom. It marked the bottom in 2022. And now it could be, going for support in the future. If we do drop below 24.5k, if we do go down on Bitcoin, we could be bouncing off of that, coming up and breaking out like that. And that could be considered a fake out move. So this support line that has been forming for 5 years now becomes crucially important for Bitcoin, okay? Actually, I would say it's one of the most important support lines we have on Bitcoin. Obviously, we have things like Gaussian channel, bull market support band. We'll look at that in a second, at 24.5k. But this line now, you have to consider this thing not only was present during the 2018 bottom, you could also say it was technically present, although it wasn't a perfect retest, it was technically present all the way back here in 2017, July, right? During that correction there. So, this is a line that's been supporting Bitcoin price for 5 or 6 years. Yes, it would allow Bitcoin to drop below the critical level at 24.5k, but it could, come down as a liquidity test for Bitcoin, a liquidity grab for Bitcoin, and then go up like that. That would be amazing to see. So I do want to just, use this moment in which I'm talking about this uptrending line that many people probably wouldn't have heard of by now to clarify. The 4-year cycle is not over until new bottoms are put in, okay? The 4-year cycle is not over until we go to 15k. So when I say that we drop below 24.5k, that's bearish. I don't mean that's bearish as in we're going to re-enter a bear market and drop down for Bitcoin to new lows. I mean it's bearish as in that's not what we want to do because 24.5k is the bottom of the current range. And if we drop below that, we'd be forming a double top formation, which would be indicative of further downside price action. I don't mean dropping below 24.5k would lead to a drop below 15k. That's just simply irrational, right? There's too many support zones in between those regions to make that conclusion. It could lead to a drop to something like 21k, okay? It could lead to a drop to something like even 18k, but 15k is simply too far away. There's a separate range, that needs to be conquered before we go down to something like 15k. So I do want you to, remember that the 4-year cycle is strictly date range. It's not based on price points. So long as we're above 15k, we're still within the 4-year cycle and everything is still good from a macro perspective in that regard. I think long-term and macro are very different. Macro, I think, for me at least, definition, the way I define them at least, it's very different. Macro, I'm speaking about cyclical. And if I'm speaking about long term, I'm simply speaking about like over the course of, a few months or more. But yeah, so that's something worth noting as well. This new support line is formed, 5 or 6 years old. It's been retested on many occasions, even as back to something like 2017. And so that could be interesting for Bitcoin. If we do drop below something like 24.5K, that will be our lifeline. If we lose that, obviously, then it's really, really, really bad for Bitcoin because we've lost basically everything at that point. But I will be keeping an eye on this line, and that reaches an apex in around February 2024. So we will be seeing a breakout either upside or down before 2024, February. Now, if we're talking about what Bitcoin needs to do, and what I mean by that is, what it needs to do to regain some of the ground it's lost. Because briefly looking into the daily chart is so messy right now. I don't want to spend much time on it, but I do want to use it to give you an example of what I mean by the ground that's been lost, right? Basically, on the daily chart, what we've done on Bitcoin is not good, right? We've dropped below these dotted lines formed a descending wedge formation. We dropped below a descending wedge. We dropped below both of these uptrending dotted yellow lines. We basically lost a market pattern, and we lost 2 diagonal support zones, and we've come all the way down. Now we're resting just above support. So the daily chart's been a mess. Luckily, we do have RSI support as well, but we also dropped below an RSI structure. Right? We dropped below an RSI support line as well. So everything that could have gone wrong in the daily chart in a short period of time basically went wrong, other than losing 24.5K. That's basically what we did on the daily chart. So we wrecked everything. Everything's ruined from that perspective. And 4-hourly chart, again, it's such a messy chart. There's really no clear identifiable structures right now. Basically, we do have support. We are in a bottoming out structure, but it's hard to say whether that will be a medium-term, long-term bottom. It could just be a short-term bottom for a quick little upwards before downwards. Again, it's very hard to say at this point. In fact, it's impossible to say. We just haven't seen any significant market patterns form. We've just seen randomized sideways price action. So nothing really to say at all, really, about the daily chart or 4-hourly chart. So short-term charts are essentially useless right now to us. But it does give you an example of what I mean by Bitcoin has lost a lot of ground, and what I mean by this is how we can gain it back. Okay, so I'm going to tell you this is how we can gain it back. Bull market support band is a very important one. Now, everyone keeps saying to me, because I speak about this quite a lot, everyone keeps saying to me, oh, you must watch Benjamin Cohen videos, you talk about bull market support band. My friends, I've been talking about bull market support band since my first video I did on my YouTube channel back here in May 2021. In fact, literally in the first video I did on my entire YouTube channel, that was the first topic I ever brought up. So, no, it's not from Benjamin Cohen. Benjamin Cohen just talks about it a lot, and obviously he's the most popular person who talks about it, so everyone thinks it's his indicator. It's not his indicator. People have used this for a very, very long period of time, because it's been very, very useful to Bitcoin for a very, very long period of time. You can see every single time we get above it, we hold it for support for a very long period of time, and when we finally drop below it, we hold it for resistance for a long period of time. It's happened on multiple occasions. For every bull market and bear market, the bull market support band has been a major indicator for, trend identification. So dropping below it is not a good sign, and unfortunately for Bitcoin, we have dropped below it. This is not a good sign, right? We saw one weekly candle close below the bull market support band. And it is very important that Bitcoin gets above it as soon as possible, as not to consolidate a strong downwards trend like what we've done in the past. We need to get back above bull market support band. We have seen fake outs before, so it's not particularly the end of the world that we've gone below it. And in fact, we're forming a similar structure to the fake out we saw before, so that's not a bad thing either, right? What we saw, if we're looking at this region over here where we faked out above it, we formed a strong green candle, a doji candle, and then went right back down below it. We could do the exact same thing here. Okay, a strong red candle, we can form a doji and see a strong green candle right back above it. That would be great. That's called an evening star formation and a morning star formation. So if we see the weekly candle close like it does right now, that would not be the end of the world, because it's very likely at that point that the next weekly candle next week will go above bull market support band again. So really what we need to be seeing, not this week, but next week, or this week, right? Doesn't really matter when, but it could be next week, seeing as we're seeing a doji candle right now, is a break back above bull market support band. That would be very, very important, and that would be a great way to end the month. Now, here's where I talk about something like the monthly candle, okay? Because this is another thing Bitcoin needs to be doing well. In 7 days, we have the monthly candle close, okay? Now, the monthly candle is arguably way more important than the weekly candle on this occurrence, because on the monthly chart, we have a very strong trend on Bitcoin. We have a trend in which we form 2 support lines per cycle. We have this red line, which we bottom out on during the bull market and then bounce off of it. When we finally lose it, we go down to the yellow line and bottom out. Okay, that's happened on all 3 occasions, okay? So right now, what we've done is we've broken back above the red line. We've broken back above the red line at 29.2k. We've seen a monthly candle close above 29.2k. We know that 29.2k is a real resistance zone because we rejected from it once, okay? We came above it and we support flipped it once. Now we're back below it. So it's not good to see so much contention around this one region, but the fact that we've seen two direct closes right on top of this level does confirm that 29.2k is the important level on the monthly. Unfortunately for Bitcoin, as I said, we're seeing massive amounts of contention there. And we're all the way down now at 26.4 roughly, all right, if we're going to daily, the actual updated price is actually 26.1. So we're very, very far below where we need to be. It would be ideal for Bitcoin to close the monthly candle above 29.2k. However, 7 days, it's a decent amount of time. We need to see a 10% gain in 7 days. So basically, we need to be seeing Bitcoin close the monthly candle above 29.2k. That would be the ideal scenario for Bitcoin. If we do not do that, we are losing a level that we previously fit for support, and that's very bearish for Bitcoin on a long-term perspective. We also know that it's bearish because of another monthly candle chart, right? This is the monthly chart RSI cross chart, okay? This is a chart that not many people look at. And essentially, what we have is the 14 moving average on the monthly chart RSI, and then the monthly chart RSI itself. What you can see is that when we see bullish crosses, we see massive upside price action for Bitcoin. When we see bearish crosses, we see massive downside price action for Bitcoin. We saw a bullish cross, okay, in February 2023. We saw brief upside price action, okay? It was largely unsustained. It was the weakest upside cross we've seen so far. And right now, as you can see, we're coming back in for a bearish cross. If we close this monthly candle red, okay, it stands to reason that we could be seeing a bearish monthly chart cross, which has only ever led to, right, 79% loss and 38% loss. We need to be avoiding that bearish monthly chart cross in 7 days from now. And the way we can do that is by minimizing the damage of this close, or at best getting above 29.2k. It's very important that Bitcoin does not see a bearish monthly chart cross. We do not want to see that because that would put us at serious risk on a long-term scale for Bitcoin. So monthly chart is incredibly important. In fact, it's the most important thing that Bitcoin will be seeing the next 7 days. This monthly candle close is incredibly important. So we need to be getting back above 29.2k, or at the or at least minimizing the damage by getting as far up as we can, so we don't see a clean monthly chart cross, right, which would lead to long-term downside price action. At least minimize the damage, at least get to 28k, at least get to 28.6k, at least do something like that just so we don't see this cross confirmed over the next monthly candle close in 7 days. So as you can see, monthly chart's very important, weekly chart's very important, need to get back above bull market support band. Daily chart's a complete mess. Bitcoin dominance looks good for Bitcoin. That's one of the reassuring things for Bitcoin right now. Of course, on Bitcoin dominance, we generally go up during a bear market as people lose faith in altcoins. They gain faith in Bitcoin. They put their faith in Bitcoin because they know that altcoins die during a bear market, or at least get slow during a bear market, and then actually they die during a bull market when they fail to gain traction again. But that's a more nuanced point of view. The point is, altcoins don't do well in bear markets. Bitcoin does. We've seen that historically. We're seeing it again, right? Bitcoin dominance is rising. Altcoin dominance is hence decreasing. Right now, what we've seen is a resistance support flip on a major support zone as well as bull market support band, which would indicate that Bitcoin dominance is going to rise once more, which would actually indicate that Bitcoin will perform quite well, at least in comparison to altcoins, but generally speaking quite well as a whole, because Bitcoin dominance rarely actually goes up when Bitcoin goes up. So that's reassuring. We don't want to lose that. Okay, so that's one of the few reassuring things for Bitcoin right now. We do have a good little indicator of a bottom there on Bitcoin dominance. I also want to re-emphasize, we also don't look particularly bad on the weekly. I know we're below bull market support band, but I said before, we're forming the same structure that what we performed over here when we saw a fake out. Okay, so we could be very well seeing a fake out again. We could be very well getting it back above it next week. The problem is, by next week, by the time we get it back above it next week, we could have already seen the bearish monthly candle close. So you can see the position Bitcoin is in is not particularly favorable. Basically, monthly chart's important, weekly chart's important, daily chart is completely irrelevant because it's not forming anything important at all, and the same thing is said to be short term, same thing is said about short term. So really it's only the weekly chart and the monthly chart that Bitcoin is actually looking to do something on. The short-term charts are completely irrelevant right now. I can't make anything out of this. No analyst can. You look at any YouTube video about analysts trying to make a discussion about this price action, go to the 4-hourly chart, just look at that price action. You can't make it. There's no discussion to be had about it. It is a ridiculous, randomized, sideways consolidation on support. Generally speaking, that's bullish. but I don't want to make such a vast generalization with extremely limited data. What I can say is this. We need to be holding, okay, 24.5k. That's important. If we don't hold 24.5k, we do have a lifeline as per this 4 or 5 year uptrending line here. We need to be getting above the bull market support band as soon as possible, preferably this or next week. And we need to be getting above 29.2k, or at least minimizing the damage. That's what Bitcoin needs to do to regain some of the ground it's lost over the last week. Guys, with that said, thank you for watching. Check out the Crypto Academy, become a trader 10-unit course. All the information is on the website. This course will teach you how to trade. It's an educational course about TA. It'll teach you how to trade, teach you how to find trades, teach you how to manage your risks, teach you how to conduct proper market psychology, etc. Everything you need to know about trading is on this course, and you can check out the website below for all the information about the course, including our contact address where you can email us any questions and also request payment information. And finally, guys, the VIP group. We trade altcoins in VIP sub-daily. We've got a 79% win rate on altcoins, extremely profitable. We release our results quarterly. All of our results, all 9 months of our trading results is on the VIP information group below. You can check out the trading results. You can check out the information for the group. We will be doing some upgrades to the group very shortly, and so we might be seeing some price changes there, so you might want to get in while you can. I'm not actually decided on that yet. It depends what the upgrades are, but I know that I'm working on some upgrades right now. I may actually choose to keep the price the same. I'm just undecided at this point in time. But the point is, we could be seeing some upgrades very, very shortly, so it's definitely a time to get in while you can. And yeah, without further ado, I'll end the video there. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.